Hello, everyone. Welcome to this year's Sound Festival, which is mainly live, which is very exciting. We've got musicians all over the place. And lots of events happening in Aberdeen from now until the 24th of October, so on Sunday. So if any of you who are local are watching this, you can come along to some live events as well. But after a year of just doing stream stuff and things via YouTube and Zoom, it's slightly strange actually to be back on Zoom for a gig, so to speak. But we're really, really pleased to be able to do this one and to be able to invite to do it with Sonic Bothy. So we're very lucky to have Claire Doherty from Sonic Bothy and also Sonia Alori and Adam Green, all coming to us from different parts of Scotland. And what we're going to do first is we're going to see a film that they made called The Resonance's Joy, Inside Sound Out. And then we're going to have, I think, which lasts about 20 or 25 minutes, Claire, is that right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. You can put questions into the chat as we go along, and then we can talk about stuff afterwards. I'm just going to pass over to Claire so that she just gives you a tiny bit of background to the film so that you understand what it is you're watching. Claire, over to you.
Thanks. So The Resonance's Joy, Inside Out, Part 1, is it's the first film of a series of 4, and for this one we have been looking at ideas of embodied musical knowledge and considering our recent practice for our commission for Tectonics, which was for May 2021, and during which we sort of developed new practice. So this is a bit of a reflection and inquiry, really, to our own ways of working.
And maybe what we need to say just before we start is, Claire, just to present Sonic Bothy a bit, because you're an inclusive ensemble, and it might be just so people.
Yeah, so we're an ensemble that is inclusive and involving musicians who are with and without an additional learning support need, neurodiversity or disability. We've been working together as an ensemble in various guises since 2012. So yeah, we sort of perform and compose, collaborate to create new works. We take commissions, we play at festivals. Usually we do a lot of live work, but yeah, as I say, this year we've developed a new practice, which is online. So, yeah.
Thanks very much, Claire. And listen, without more ado, I think we'll just get on, see the film you've made, and then come back and have a chat about it afterwards.
So for this project, we're looking at ideas of embodied musical knowledge. So we've become aware of this strand of musicology and study that's considering the role of the human body in relation to musical activities. So in our case, that's how we are playing and producing the music and our creativity and where our music is coming from. So this is something that we've been interested in for quite a while, and to quote a member of our group who's not here today, actually, Ellen, we had a great statement where she said, "We are who we are unique, we bring the whole of ourselves to ensemble, and we work with who we are," which was a kind of really wonderful moment that we all agreed with really strongly. So we're considering what this idea of our whole selves means for our music, musical and the non-musical experiences that we have that influence the music that we're creating as individuals and as our group of Sonic Bothy Ensemble. And we've been thinking about the idea of our bodies as a container for our experiences, or a magnet. We've got 2 ideas on the go.
Adam's magnet idea is actually really useful, I think, because you've got these influences that are stuck to you, and they just make up part of your musicality. Um, but as I say, it's not something that you're aware of when you're responding to the other people in the group in the moment.
The magnet is such the devil light blue.
So thinking about like all of your musical experiences sticking to you like a magnet.
Yeah.
Like that.
When you're playing, Adam, do you also playing music with the drums? Do you also feel like you're dancing?
Yeah.
That reminds me of in school, my first clarinet teacher used to tell me off for moving, feeling the music too much. I had too much emotion in my playing, and she said I looked like a snake charmer.
An interesting thing, the in the moment, isn't it, with what you're hearing and who you're with, and all that back catalogue that's sitting there. It's an interesting
and the
thing,
instrument,
that, isn't it? You know,
the instrument that you're playing, it might be introducing into that conversation the whole history you have with the instrument.
Also, how we are communicating with each other and out into the world, and also our feelings and how we feel about different things. So we're thinking about all these experiences coming together, that they're all within our individual container, and that we are also putting our individual experiences into the big container of the ensemble. And what comes out is music that is uniquely Sonic Bothy's and uniquely ours.
My music teacher, my first report, had said that if Alistair made any effort, he might actually enjoy music. And then the second report, the teacher apologised for that and said actually they were at fault. Alistair is just not musical, which is that's something that stayed with me, and I think I do think about that teacher often when I'm playing music for a living.
You've said quite recently, actually, that you're not sure if you're a musician or not, to which we all chorused, of course you are, but I wonder if that's somehow rooted.
I mean, it is quite profound, the impact that a music teacher or can have in terms of how they communicate with you.
I just grew up with my dad as my soundtrack. You couldn't tell him to stop singing even if you wanted to, but I think my earliest memories are rooted in the sound of him singing and just of wonderful operatic melodies. And I think when I write music now, there's still that sense of carrying a bit of melody into what I make, but sort of warping that in a sense to make it more abstract. But yeah, definitely a huge influence from singing Dada Laurie.
And just to go back to what you were saying, Nick, about when you were younger, your experiences that you perhaps have from more traditional tuition in music. I was very lucky not to have that. I had a very open-minded piano teacher who kind of paved the way for me, for me to hopefully have quite an open mind about sound and music, and that's still with me to this day, which I'm never so grateful to Robert for, you know. But so I not consciously, I suppose, in the moment when we're improvising, but it's an amalgamation of, I suppose, progressive rock and organ music, perhaps of Messiaen's style of music, composition style, some Frank Zappa, some Dadaism, all this sort of thing, kind of in a big sort of soup can of container for me, I'd say.
In the hot dog tin.
Hot dog tin, yeah.
That's our container. My compositional horizon expanded when I sort of got into composing with sound and recorded sound at uni early on. So I kind of went in not necessarily knowing that that's what I was going to be, you know, that was going to be my focus, but I think that opened up all the reference points and the influences to a much broader set of things out into the environment. And yeah, so I think that was a big influence on where, on one aspect, compositionally.
You might all know that my great-grandpa Jack was an opera singer. So he influenced me in a way as well.
Didn't know that. Did you ever hear him sing?
No, but as you know, my grandpa Ivan was quite a good singer, so I got it from him as well.
What about some of those other influences you had mentioned the other day? Was it
Doris Day, Ella Fitzgerald. One of the most special ones to me is It's Magic, because my grandma and grandpa loved that song.
I think one of the big things that you've brought to Sonic Bothy that is always around in our rehearsals, but it doesn't always appear exactly in the music, but it's always there. It's just the many songs that you love to play and that we've all also learned and adopted or remembered along the way. So
the other people I'm playing with at the time are probably my main musical influence in the moment. I'll think, oh, this might bring a smile to somebody's face if I play this. Hello?
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 Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
I think we all together, individually and together, we have lots of non-musical influences as well that come into our big container. It might be about the wider environment, both musically and non-musically, where we live, what we like to do, how we like to move our bodies. Do we dance? Do we paint? Do we do sport or swim?
We walked up and down
the big room. Yeah,
yes.
we have.
Like, and doing things at different speeds and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big steps, small steps, running and...
Dancing was part of my life.
Does it feel part of your music?
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing that we've done practically to take on one another's languages, is that it's not like, you know, we've turned up and played only our instruments ever. You know, we swap between those ideas all the time, so...
Adam.
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 Verbatim.
How did we start verbatim?
Adam. That's like that.
Well, I guess mishearing things is how we arrived at making verbatim.
We started to work with, I think Ellen or Karen had sent the transcripts of the audio describing of one of our improvisations. What we did was we recreated the transcript live by making it another improvisation. Finding a captioner who could audio describe the music, and having that opening up an amazing new creative process, which I think was new for everybody, whether you could hear or not.
Yeah, because it was several months before we sort of clocked that we could actually read this back, or that we could interact with it in a different way.
Yeah, because we recognised that Eleanor and Karen were writing this. Well, it was the creative writing. It was prose about the sounds we were making. Because prior to that, several of us were struggling to hear what was going on, which is totally unlike our experience in playing in a room together, where we can hear each other more clearly and we can see what each other are doing, pick up on gestures and stuff.
I remember it just one day, and it was as if it sounded like the sound of a washing machine, distorted washing machine or something. I could just remember being so frustrated, just that. I guess not being
such a big change, wasn't it? So radically different. Flat and
Speak for yourself.
Scrabbing noise, like something with sharp nails trying to get out of a plastic box.
We played it, there was another transcript generated, and then when we played it again we would improvise using that transcript. So we got further and further removed from the original version.
There was masses of text, wasn't there? There was pages of it.
That was a thing, wasn't it? We were worried that we would over practice it at one point.
Figuring out what it was and doing sort of repeated improvisations. It felt quite immersive, the actual making of it. Male and female oohs and ahs. Ooh. Ah. Oh. Ah. Ooh. Ah.
How was it different for you to working at City Halls?
I actually I'm finding that challenging in some ways.
That working on the digital is challenging compared
to... Yeah.
I remember, and then I felt was really different from working all together was, being used to listening to everybody's playing, watching each other when we were playing, and kind of always watching out the sides of my eyes, what was going on, listening. And I found that really different. So like it's like your peripheral vision coming in, and then you're watching and listening straight ahead onto the computer. So it's a completely different experience of playing and making something together.
And other things happening on the periphery, like other lives happening in the same house as you. You know, I can hear work meetings unrelated to Sonic Bothy coming through the wall. And
do you think it's been more difficult to remember how this one has come together than what usually happens?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Even things like when you're actually in the space that where you might sit, you know, where people are in relation to each other, and there's different things that sort of help you remember what we're doing, or how things came together, or things that we explored. You thinking that, Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, I was just thinking of being used to remembering seeing Andrew moving around the piano or standing up to play inside the piano, and I would see you from my right eye that you were moving, so I would be like listening out for what you were doing.
Sonia and I had a chat about this, didn't we? Reacting visually when improvising, and how suddenly we were all just staring in each other's eyes while improvising.
But there was a whole sort of layer when we moved online that was just suddenly not there. All the little, non-verbal stuff that you don't have to hear. So when people move, when they start to play an instrument or something, that's always a cue for me, and so much. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting when we are in person again, how that's like, and if you lot who can hear will be flooded with sort of real sensory experience again. I can't wait to hear about it, actually.
Bell light rattling, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Crackling of fire or a crisp packet being scrunched up. Can I eat one of your crisps? It can be harder to sort of experiment with things spontaneously, maybe. Maybe in the room we might mix things up in a whole other way,
It's just harder to know what's going on, really.
Yeah.
Well, I've liked that I haven't had to not get rushed to get on the bus to be in time.
Yeah, is that sort of taken a bit of a layer away, and in that way it's been sort of less stressful?
Yeah, but also I want to all play face to face with all of you again.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're missing face to face?
Yes.
Yes.
I must come another group.
I live for another moment where we do a big like tusk again, and you're just blown away by that physical force of people thinking, "Oh, you got good, and then the pièce de résistance, where somebody shouts, "Barry!"
Funnily enough, I'm imagining what we were all sounding like when we were all together in City Halls right now.
Are you imagining that just now?
I am.
What can you hear?
I can hear like Adam doing the drums, me doing the piano, of course, or the harpsichord that I used to do. you playing the violin. I mean, you used to do a lot of that at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Glasgow always supporting Sonic Bothy all the way.
You mean this city?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Sonic Bothy could have started anywhere else.
We all are building our memories together in the ensemble of things like Tusk and other gigs that we've played, and time spent in the recording studio and rehearsals and things. We all are sharing those memories.
Was it for you and Sonic Bothy? See if it was it for fun. See if it was it for this and Sonic Bothy. How were the reunions?
Once we're back in a room, I think the reconnecting to playing as one physical unit, I think, will be like quite an experience, I think.
When we go back, it'll be exciting, but like strange in a good way.
That pretty much sums it up, I'd say, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it.
I hope you all enjoyed that. I hadn't seen it before. That was brilliant, Claire. Well done, everyone. There is so much to talk about in this that I really don't know where to start. So sorry, everyone, if we go off on all sorts of tangents. I think there's just, it was just that. So that really, sorry, I'm feeling a bit teary, actually. That was quite moving. And I think we've all been through that experience to a certain extent of having to do stuff on Zoom and you know, which was really hard. And now we're coming back to Live Festival, which feels, actually, you're saying, you know, what's it going to be like when you come back together? It is strange and it's a bit unsettling at the same time. And I think we're all taking a bit of time to adapt to that. Yeah, but anyway, let's get on with some questions. I'm still, so I want to ask Claire a bit about this notion of embodied musical knowledge, because it's still slightly confusing me. Claire, can you just sort of explain how, you know, what your take on this was?
Yes, we were really delighted to be approached by Glasgow University multi-disciplinary network project towards a somatic music to be involved, to be able to start to look at this kind of area of musicology and study, because I think that it is something that in various ways we've sort of been reflecting on and trying to get to for a good number of years. Back in 2017, Ellen Phillip, one of our members, had made that great quote, and this was sort of during another sort of reflective essay that we were writing, and she'd sort of said, we are who we are unique, we bring the whole of ourselves to ensemble, and we work with who we are. And it has always stayed with us. And I think when the chance came up to explore these ideas of embodied musical knowledge a bit further, we really came back to that as our starting place, and then we started to look at the other definitions, because it's just a vast area of study. So I mean, you know, embodied musical knowledge is really about the role of the body in all musical activities, all sorts of musical activities. So it could be playing, creating, performing, could be listening. There's different strands of study that look at lots of different things. And actually the idea of embodiment runs across many disciplines. We looked at definitions in sort of medical definitions and music psychology definitions, and so all sorts of strands of study are looking at this idea of embodiment. So we were sort of navigating our way through the different definitions, and we came back to thinking about a wider idea of embodiment with our music. And so we settled on this idea of a container, so our body as being a container, so not just of our musical experiences but all of our lived experiences, and actually that is what we bring. We have a full container as individuals, and we bring that to ensemble, and we have a large container as ensemble that all of these experiences are also going into and interacting with one another. And of course we are free improvisers. A lot of the time we are improvising completely free, or with very little structure. So actually what's happening in the moment is encapsulating all of our experiences, I think. And then Adam had a really fantastic idea as well, which was the other strand of thinking that we were looking at when we made the film, which was about this idea of embodied musical experience as being like a magnet. So as if the body was a magnet for your musical experiences to stick to, and and maybe that we move through our lives and our musical lives, and different types of music sort of stick to us, or that we are like attracted to some types of things and maybe not others, and maybe there's a bit of a force in these ideas. So we were really kind of looking at that as well, which was so it was really great. So that was the sort of two ideas.
So it's something about all your own personalities and the things you've been through and the different things, but also the ensemble itself and what your sort of shared experience, which I'm assuming is what gives you your sort of unique sound as well, as with probably any ensemble. It's that shared what you bring, but also what you've done together as a group. Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Which is such a multi-layered thing, because when, in our case, it's about all of our different, I mean, we have a very, very eclectic musical background, which is one of the things which is great about the ensemble. Not everybody has been through a university education, not everybody, people are coming from all types of music, all walks of life. We all have different interests, we have different experiences, so it's very, our musical reference points are, and sound actually, and not even just music, I mean our sound as well. So our materials, I mean the reference points are vast, really, and all of that is in there. Sorry, what was the other thing that you asked me?
Can't remember. No, it's just about, it's okay.
I do this all the time. Sonia and Adam will tell you.
No, but also, Claire, you can use, we've been talking about brain fog a lot in the team, sort of post-Zoom brain fog, where you're just sort of like, what am I doing now? Yeah, I can't remember what it was, the other question, but I think that gives it, I was just gonna, because there are various things that were mentioned. I loved Sonia talking about her dad singing in the background, and I've met Sonia's dad, and I can just imagine it. But Adam, can I ask you a question? Have you got, your mum's there, great. Because you're, just from what Claire was saying, because you're the percussionist, aren't you? I think. Yeah. And I just wanted to know what it was like to be playing drums in Sonic Bothy. How that felt for you as a musician.
It was good. It was good.
And what do you feel when you're doing it?
Feel. You move your arms. Yes.
How does it make you feel in here? How does it make you feel as yourself, as a person?
Just play it.
Just play it, you said.
But somebody said, Claire, I think, said to me, or just there's in the video that you say that playing drums feel like dancing.
Yeah.
Is that how it is for you? Do you sort of?
Yeah.
Is that the rhythms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the amazing things of playing with Adam is, that you are, you are moving all the time. It's one of the things that I absolutely love about playing with you, because you have such a flow, and it's, it's like, it's just like this music is pouring out. But the way that you move is so like dance, and it was so interesting to hear you talking about that, as the background of what we were making in the film, and because you do dance actually, don't you? When you're not Sonic Bothy.
Yeah.
And we don't really, I think probably that's the thing about Zoom. Well, again, I think Sonia mentioned this in the video. You're not, because you're not in the same room as people. You're not seeing the same thing on the screen as you'd be experiencing if you're all together. So, you maybe lose a bit of that. Or do you, Adam, are you dancing when you're doing stuff on Zoom with the ensemble? Are you sort of dancing around in the background as you're playing as well?
You still play with your hands like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because it is such a strange time. I was just going to ask Sonia something. Just talking about. I'd quite like to get back to Verbatim in a moment, but it's been really weird, this moving to Zoom stuff. And I know you, and I know you're sitting there in Abbeymoor, so you're quite a distance geographically as well as through the Zoom ons. And what you lot have been amazing. I mean, that you've put this together during the pandemic, it's fabulous, because I know from experience here that doing stuff musically on Zoom is not the easiest. We've done it with our local new music ensemble. I just wanted to ask you what the good and the bad things were for you from the pandemic, from working together as an ensemble during the pandemic.
Yeah, sure. I think like everyone, like right at the beginning, we were going through this period of adjustment and loss and mourning for how things used to be. And then we went on to Zoom, and I couldn't hear anything. And it was, kind of really upsetting. And Sonic Bothy actually started rehearsals again, I think within weeks of the pandemic starting. We moved, our rehearsals were online, and we've been rehearsing regularly throughout it, and it's become a bit of a mainstay. And it was, so you kind of get used to being in Zoom, and you wonder, do people still have feet, things like that, what socks are they wearing. I think because I'm in a wheelchair, the level that I'm at, I tend to see feet first, so I miss feet and shoes, But to get back to the music, we just happened to chance upon this amazing process where we work with a creative captioner, and I really love the way that Ali described what they do. It is like creative writing. So they caption our improvisations, and then we're left with a piece of creative descriptive writing of sound at the end of it, and then we work with that, and we produce another improvisation from that. And all the time we're sort of thinking about things, asking each other questions as we go through transcripts, and we have also used a kind of mirroring process where someone reads it out. So the reading of the text as well then becomes part of their performance, and it's from that, I think, that Verbatim really came into its own. And I'm glad to say that it's revolutionized my practice and ability to collaborate, I think, even beyond the pandemic, and even when we're not online. I have this amazing sort of connection now through audio description, and I can sort of because I don't go to concerts anymore because I can't hear anything, but through having it described, I can tap into a kind of oral library of sounds that I still have, my memories of what things sound like. So I really miss birdsong. So when I think we did some work as well with some birdsong during the pandemic, and so when the birdsong was described to me, I could hear and experience the birdsong again. So it's actually been really important for me, sort of as an artist, I think, to sort of have this process that we'll take when we're in the room again, and I get to see whether people have some nice socks on and things like that.
On the sock question, you should have been at last night's concert with Juliet Fraser doing Distance, because she had some fabulous sort of orangey, yellow and pink socks, I think they were, which I think you'd have loved. Sonia, can I just for clarification, does this mean when you're improvising, because you can't hear the others at all, so are you then because improvisation I find difficult enough anyway, but does that mean you're improvising through the words, the caption, and it's explaining the music to you? Is that right?
Yes, it's a combination that we've really, I mean, it's a really finessed process now. So yes, so I kind of have this combination of reading the words. So I'm obviously creating another layer of latency to the latency that there already is because we're on Zoom. But I love that, you know. And I think it makes for the improvisation is sort of happening on two different parallel timelines, because I'm always late, if you like. Sometimes I can see somebody coming in with something, and I remember the sound of their instrument, and so I might come in during that as well. But it's like this duality of the different and opposing time frames, because I think I've probably come out with something maybe loud at one point when everyone else has maybe moved into something quiet, but then you get this kind of opposition and challenge. So it's, yeah, I keep using the word interesting, but it really is.
Yeah, and I think there's something, sorry if I keep looking at my phone, I'm not looking at you because I'm checking if there's anybody sent some Q&As through from the YouTube. There's, at the moment there isn't, but there's lots of congratulatory comments coming through. It's sort of, Sonia, yeah, I mean, working with Zoom here, I think you're right. Well, for me, it's become almost a different art form, that performing music live on Zoom, because it, you know, when we first went to there's lots of recorded stuff up there, but listening to recordings of stuff is, you know, you can do that anyway. I don't, you know, it's not that interesting. And having people having recorded stuff separately and then all put together is fine. But this sort of idea of Zoom and the unpredictability and the, you know, it creates something really new in a different sort of sound world. And I think that in itself, like you're saying, is interesting. Don't know if that's the best word for it, but it feels as though it's a thing that's not the same as performing live. Claire, I don't know what you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, you know, there are definitely things I'm still trying to understand actually about this process, because when we had the recordings through for, you know, for the last take, the one that we used for the Tectonics piece in the end, that was a full live take. And, you know, I mean, there's things about that I don't understand, because I know that there's a latency, like with Sonia, I know there's the text, and then there's the, you know, but the coherence is just, you know, I still don't quite understand, you know, how that has happened, is happening, because it hasn't been adjusted in an edit room in terms of those time, you know, you know, in terms of musical gestures or anything, you know, things have not been moved around. It's the track is played, and so I think there's still things that we're sort of learning and understanding about it. But I think there's there's other aspects of Zoom that we've also kind of played with and worked with. There was a point, because we can get a bit raucous, and definitely for some reason this piece was extremely raucous. Something to do with the pandemic, and I don't know, but it was a bit wild in some places, and there's definitely a point where you hit distortion, and it's just it's just not going to go any further, and we sort of did use that and played with that a bit, and it was sort of present. We were very accepting of it, I think. But yeah, it's definitely redefined kind of the creative parameters, the sonic parameters. And I think we're still getting a grip in it in some ways, but yeah.
Sorry for this. I've got rehearsal going on in the background, so if you get stuff coming through, it's direct rehearsal for tonight's Sound Festival gig. I think what it is as well is there are those moments of extreme beauty that you're unexpected that come out of Zoom. So you have all this sort of noise and stuff, and then suddenly something comes together really beautifully, and it's so unexpected that it sort of adds to the I don't know, the thing of it. Can I go on, sorry.
One of the things I was going to say as well was just that early on, actually, what was incredibly important was that we managed to get some emergency funding to create a digital library, because I think the digital access can be a bit of an issue. But we bought sort of tablets, microphones, and headphones. We've had decent mics and decent headphones, and the difference between the difference prior to having those things and then after was enormous, and not just for the hearing musicians, also for Sonia, because there was a whole thing about that the captioners couldn't really place the sound, and when I was saying it sounded, there was just a terrible day when it just sounded like we were in the inside of a washing machine. It was just like playing into some sort of this, it was just
Some
remember
people
thinking,
really like that.
well, I know, but I just remember thinking, how can we make this work?
Into the washing machine.
I know. I mean, yeah, in another context, but like the captioners could. It was difficult for them to describe what was happening sonically when it just wasn't clear. So then that wasn't being relayed very well into the captions, and then that has a whole knock-on effect. So there were just there was lots of things to sort out.
I've got a question. Sorry, I keep getting waved at. There's a question coming from Bjorn. Sonia, and it's for you. He wants to know whether, does what you see the other musicians doing affect what you're playing too?
Yes, you sort of have to keep an eye on people looking like they might be about to come in, and then you try and tie that in with the details that are coming through in the captioning. So I see what someone's done, and then I read about it a second later, and then I react to it. So I guess there's almost like a threefold process going on there.
That's really fascinating. And does it also, I mean, this is a question for anyone who wants to answer, so getting back to that embodied music thing, does the fact that you all know each other really well and you've created this ensemble sound with all these shared experiences, does that, I'm assuming it does help that online Zoom experience? I don't know, Claire or Sonia, if either of you want to, or Adam, want to say something about that? Does that, yes, Sonia, go for it.
I joined Sonic Bothy the ensemble at the very end of 2018, so I think in comparison with some of the other players, I'm still a newbie. But I remember when I went in and started to play, I then had to learn their repertoire of pieces which already existed in this Sonic Bothy container, and that was like, even though they're improvised and they're probably different each time, with each iteration. And I brought a different instrument in as well. I brought in the bassoon as well as the clarinet, so it kind of I don't know whether I changed the sound, but I just don't really remember there being any difficulty in sort of fitting in. So I think it's just a happy melding of personalities.
Son, can I ask you, actually, just because I put my thumbs up when you said bassoon, because we love all things bassoon at the Sound Festival. I was just wondering, in this sort of notion of embodiment, are you exactly the same person when you play the clarinet and the bassoon, or do you have a slightly different character for, even subtly for the different, do you turn into a bassoon player when, is there something slightly different about the way you feel when you're playing them?
There's definitely something different facially when you play the bassoon, and I think just the kind of the body position, you're more upright. I think and I think I think I look really pompous when I play the bassoon. And I've just I played a lovely new bass clarinet on Verbatim that I was able to get with a grant, and there's another personality there because it's so enormous, and playing it in a wheelchair, you actually feel the vibrations, the resonance of the notes actually come up through the wheelchair, and I feel them, so it's quite sensory actually.
Yeah, I can imagine. Claire, before we've got a little bit of time left and not much. We've been mentioning the bar, but I don't even know how to say it now because Sonia sounds as though there's a sheep that comes in the middle of it. So the bar. This process of making it, is this all just what you've been talking about, sort of put together? I mean, it looked beautiful, and I really want to go. And I'm assuming we could come. Is it accessible online? Is there a recording of it? So that's lots of questions in one go. You need to unmute.
Yeah, we're about to put it up on our website actually. So yeah, we'll have that up this week. But sorry, what was the other question you asked me?
I'm forgetting to unmute now. It was to do with the making of it, because is it all that was it all those lives and moments, but also moments that were done separate? I mean, how did you put it together?
Yeah, I mean, we had created, the text had been created from sessions that we'd been playing together, and then we had decided we were going to take a fixed text and then respond to that and perform to that. So we didn't actually add anything or really edit it, except for to decide kind of which sections we were going to use, and just to maybe create some spaces, I think, between things. So we sort of structured it like that, and then we basically just played live, responding to it all the way through, I think. And that's sort of quite, that kind of thing can be quite typical of our process. It was quite late in the day, I think, where we actually had defined what the text was going to be. It took ages because it was so big. We had to kind of and it was thanks to Nick Scrutton, actually. We'd say she did quite a lot of the work in terms of actually bringing it down to something that was going to be the size of the piece for the commission, because it could have gone on for about 2 hours. So that took a while, and then we were just doing live takes, but the live take thing was really important to us, that we weren't actually recording sections, and then that it wasn't a backroom edit, because it's not, we play live, and had we been at Tectonics, we would have improvised live, and it was drawing on that experience, and just that was what we wanted to share. And I think that was maybe our way of getting as close to the live experience as possible. And then we had brilliant Jen Martin to thank, as well as Matthew Walker-Dean for visuals. So Matthew's sort of, we've worked with Matthew on and off for a while from Good Press with our marketing and sort of poster design and things like that, because, you know, we were suddenly in this situation where, you know, visual to us is often, you know, what socks are you wearing on the stage? It's not really, you know, we didn't already have a developed visual identity, you know, as an ensemble in that sense. So we did have to kind of quickly think about that, and thankfully we were already working with Matthew on that in that other area of Sonic Bothy. So so it was brilliant that he was sort of able to contribute to that, and then Jen was just fantastic in terms of, you know, creatively taking the text on and bringing out our music, and just really making something that felt like our language, which was, you know, great to see that kind of come together. So it sort of feels like new relationships have been developed through creating the audio visual work, or strengthened, and that's been really, yeah, really great.
Could I ask Adam what he liked about doing verbatim? Adam, did you enjoy making verbatim?
What do you like about verbatim, about making it?
I like the colour of it.
All of it?
Yeah.
The colour of it?
Yeah.
He said he liked the colour of it. And anything else?
That's a really good way.
The black and white in the background.
It looks, certainly, I mean, the bits we saw of it just look lovely, and those graphics and those sort of, you know, bits where you can see a little bit of a player in the corner amongst other graphics, I just thought looked beautiful, and I can't wait to see it online. I think we're going to have to wrap up, everyone, much as I'd love to carry on chatting, because this is really nice, but it's nearly 5 o'clock. We've got another gig at 6. So I'd just like to say a huge thank you. It's been a really, we were all, Claire and I were slightly nervous about doing this, and I bet everyone else was as well, but it's been a really joyous thing talking to you. And I don't know, it's given me sort of extra hope and warmth, discovering in more detail what you've been doing and what it's brought to all of you. And I can't wait, Claire, we're going to have to concoct a plan to have you, because you came up and played live quite a few years ago. I think we ought to concoct a plan to have you back up soon-ish, and come and play live, because it would just, for me, having heard that, it'd be really interesting to hear you live again.
We would love to come. We would definitely be up for
that would be great. And just thank you so much. And so the Verbatims is going to be on your YouTube channel soon. The film that you saw today should be on the Sound Festival one. Sorry, the technophobe talking here. Hopefully it's up there until the end of the festival, on the 24th of October, so you can still see it till Sunday. And I think this recording will be going out as well, so some of you may be watching this with a delay. I just, for people who are watching it live, there's another episode in the Somatic adventure which is happening at the Lemon Tree at 6 o'clock today. So if you're watching it later on, today I think is Wednesday, the 20th of October. The days are slightly merging into one at the moment. So if you have got time, jump in onto a bus or into your car or onto your bicycle and get down to the Lemon Tree in Aberdeen if you're near enough to do that. And yeah, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to you all, and it's lovely to see you and to share all of that with you. Thank you very much. And then we'll say goodbye. Unmute us. I hate
you
this.
so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Adam. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Claire. And yeah, see some of you live soon. Claire's in a room just down the corridor, so I'm going to see her live in 2 seconds. It's a shame the others aren't as well. That would be nice. Fine. Thank you very much.
Bye.